Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Donaka. I'm the team leader and broker in charge for the agency Team Hawaii here on the Big Island of Hawaii. And today I brought on Misty to talk story about kind of her journey into real estate and her experiences thus far. And so thank you, Misty, for coming on and spending some time talking story today.
Thank you.
So yeah, just to get started, tell us like a little bit about yourself, like your background, where you grew up, where you're from, so people get an idea of where you where it all started.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am born and raised Kona girl here in the island. I'm a graduate of Kamehameha schools, and right after graduation, I had no desire to go to college. I just wanted to immediately get into the workforce. And so right out of high school, I was a dental assistant. And then I got into hospitality and hotels, starting with human resources. And that totally elevated me in that industry. I was able to become a human resources manager at such a young age, and run a human resources department along one of the hotels on the coast. And from that point, I had, very dear friends that kept, telling me I need to go and get my real estate license. So this was like back in 98, and I wish I listened. So that is one of my biggest regrets, I do say, throughout this entire career, is I should have listened to them back then. But I'm grateful for all those moments, because if we didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But that's basically where it started prior to real estate. And then I also did community events, lots of events planning. And then I also write bail bonds and professionally dance hula. So it's like we just did it all here on the island. Couldn't
So
just have
what
one job.
what led to you actually ending up pulling the trigger and going to class and getting your license?
So financially, locally, we always work so many jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. And so when I would see my girlfriend Roberta Ross, she was always so gosh, I can't even explain what she is. She's just amazing, just like you, Dylan. And so she just totally encouraged me to get my license. And she just kept enforcing, you'll be really good at it. You love to help people. And this will be, a good financial freedom that you'll be able to experience. Because she would see that I was always, just working so hard and struggling just to make ends meet. So she could totally see that I would fit, in getting my real estate license.
So and this is where our paths kind of started to cross here is uh so you go and you start your class, and who's in the class with you?
Exactly, your brother.
Yes.
Well, mind you, I took class, gosh, back in what, 99? And it just wasn't a good time for me personally. So I couldn't finish the course when I first tried to obtain my real estate license. So I did put it on the back burner. And then, yes, when I went back to school again, I crossed paths with your brother, Andrew.
Who is another person, maybe one day we can talk story with him too, that had a long path to get to it, and finally we convinced him and has had a outstanding run since starting. So super cool.
Yes.
So that starts. You take the class. Was it easy? Tell us about that process, about then passing the tests and all that stuff.
Talk about stress. So the first time I went forward to get my real estate license, again, timing is crucial. You have to be in the right state of mind. Your mind just has to be clear of pretty much everything in order for you to focus. And so the first time I took it, it was great. Got through it, and then went to go and take the actual tests, and I just tapped out because I wasn't in the right state of mind. So now circling back to this time, yes, it was totally intense. I had to go to school a couple of times. At first, I tried to do it online, thinking it's working for my finances and thinking that it's going to work for me time wise. I'll just do it online. That didn't happen. I needed in person contact. I needed to be in a class setting with a teacher. So I did. After the online one, I tried another online school, and that still didn't help me. And so finally, I was like, you know what? I got to go back to school, regular in person school. And so, coincidentally, again, by the grace of God, everything just totally aligned. I was able to get into the class with Russell Chi. And
Hmm.
Russell was my first instructor decades ago when I did that the first time. So, again, talk about full circle. And coincidentally, Russell had a class in Kona, which was just very rare. During that time that I actually
Hmm.
called, he started the class. So he allowed me, because he remembered me from years back then. he remembered me. So he allowed me to enter his class. I think it was like on his second day. So I missed the first 2 days of his class, but he did allow me to enter since I already had his class, years prior to that.
Okay, so
And
you
your brother was
graduate,
there.
right? And then you graduate the class, and then what's the next step in getting your real estate license?
So after you pass the class, you finally pass that portion, but now you need to go ahead and schedule your PSI. And the PSI at that time, I believe it was like $75 a pop. And so thinking in my mind, okay, good, I passed class, I'm gonna pass the test like with flying colors, at least the first couple times. That did not happen. So it took me 2 times to pass the state test. Thank God everyone says the state is usually the hardest one to pass. So I passed it on the second time. The general one, I had to take it like 9 times in order to pass it. And it was very stressful. Again, a lot personally was just time frame, that I was going through at that moment. Just lots of clarity, my mindset, having to deal with family and transition of jobs. It was really, really rough. I was discouraged many times. I was ready to tap out many times, but I have such a good support system that just kept saying, no ways, you work way too hard for this. And a lot was, I just had to clear my mind. Like I already knew the content. I practically memorized the tests from beginning to end already, and I just needed to do it. So it was
And
very.
it was a good test of perseverance, because that's a big part of actually succeeding in a business is perseverance. So if you cannot pass the test and persevere through the hardship, it's going to be hard to actually make it, right?
Talk about grit and grind.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is just the beginning, right? We passed the test, and then how does your real estate career begin? Do you jump right in? Did you keep working? What did you do?
So again, passing the test was just one layer to get through. So
And
I
just for frame of
actually,
reference, what year is this we're talking about now?
I want to say this was 2017, and
Okay.
so to make a long story short, 2017, I was hired at Marriott Vacation Club because initially I was getting my real estate license to do timeshare. Doing general wasn't even the back of my mind. I went in to do timeshare because I know all of my friends that did it. They make a lot of money. And so I said, okay, we'll do timeshare. So 2017, I passed finally, but I was also in a time crunch because I was hired as an unlicensed agent. And within the company policy, you got to be licensed within 6 months. So I finally, like up until the very last day, obtained my license. Like that's how stressful on top of everything else was, is I was on a time crunch. And if I didn't get my license and pass, like I would lose my job. So it was kind of that, like, what am I doing here? Like, I either need to grind harder and really focus.
Sink or swim, had to perform, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
getting everything else aligned, with family at the same time. It was really crazy, but just talk about the power of prayer. So anyways, passing, it was just the biggest moment of my life. Super, super excited. We celebrated, we rejoiced. My testimony on that end was baby Samson passed away on he was born May 17th, but he passed away on May 18th. And I passed my test on May 18th.
Wow.
So it was like the worst day of
The
my life
blessing.
back
Yeah.
then was like the best day of my life because that's when I got my license. So of course it was like such an emotional, struggle for all of us, but it was very, very well rewarding. So passing the test, I get into timeshare. And then even that, you have to perform. And I was performing, but at the same time, it just wasn't cutting it. And then, just having to feel the pressure and the stress that came along with all of that, I just felt, okay, you know what, maybe this really isn't for me. And that's when I had turned to Andrew.
And knowing you, that's a high pressure, hard close. It's a very different
Totally
business, right?
so different. And,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm so grateful for it. I just loved my Marriott family there. But it just, it just didn't suit me. But again, never did I think I would do general. Like I honestly didn't even remember everything in school for general because I was strictly doing this for timeshare. So it was like I had to go back to school again. But that's when I reached out to Andrew and I was like, oh my gosh, Andrew, like, what do I do? Like, do you think I would be successful in general? And, trying to find a brokerage at that point is where I was at, was when I decided to pull the trigger, from resigning from Marriott to do timeshare and go into general real estate.
But you didn't do that right away, right? You hung your license general and then stayed at Marriott for a little while, right?
I did. I stayed at Marriott, and I tried to do both. Thanks for reminding me of that. I tried to do both because I was scared. I
Mm-hmm.
was scared to pull the trigger. So much uncertainty because I was always, in a job that you get a steady paycheck every so many weeks. And it was just my comfort zone. I was really, really afraid to pull the trigger. And I guess maybe I didn't give myself enough credit to be able to survive general real estate. And so, again, thanking the greatest support system of you folks that really did help push me to be able to do general full time.
But before you came to EXP, and I'll tell everybody the story of kind of how this came about. You had your license hung with a small independent brokerage, right?
I
And how
did.
was that? Did you do it? I mean, did you do any business? What was that experience like?
That was mainly for experience. And again, very grateful for that brokerage. I had reached out to another girlfriend of mine that was doing general, for a few years prior to me. And she had suggested, you know what, talk to my broker. And maybe my broker can bring you on, but she made it very clear that they're very small boutique style, and that we pretty much just gotta run on our own, independent, as you would just do business, that they're there to answer any questions and help. But as far as providing the training, she made it very clear that that's not that wouldn't be the place for me there.
Okay, so now time goes on, and you want to get into a more organized, structured kind of system, and this is kind of when we meet, right? So all this is happening kind of at the same time when I made the decision to go to EXP, and I always tell people, when they look at what we do now, there's like so many people, and we have all this stuff going on, and it looks really like we had a plan, and we never really had a plan, right? I mean, when I first went to EXP, I always tell people there was like 3 or 4 faithful agents that followed me out of blind faith, and Misty was one of them. Maybe because she didn't have a better option, right? But I'm always grateful and thankful to her for just having the faith and starting something that we had no idea what it would lead to, right? And so this
Right.
was in late 2018, early 2019, right?
Correct.
So I move over to EXP, and a few agents come with me, and Misty being one of them after meeting, and she knew my brother, talked story with him, and trusted, and again had some faith, right? Had some faith in that what we would do was the right fit. And so I can talk about your first year, right? So I remember the first year, you were still at Marriott, and you did a few deals that year, 4 or 5 deals that year, and I remember constantly telling you, you're good at this. Like, you need to put more time and energy into this. The results are a clear reflection of the amount of time and energy you put in it. When you have a full-time job and you have a family, like, there's no way you can put the right amount of time and energy and focus into doing real estate as you should to see your maximum results, right? And I always remember you used to say, yes, you're right, but I don't know. And the fear, right? The fear of stability
Total
and
fear factor.
and that having that paycheck, and we totally understand that. But so comes to like the 20 end of 2019, and what makes you make the decision to finally jump in full time and leave Marriott?
So with that, again, I was going through a lot on the personal end, with my husband and I and our kids and schooling and businesses that kept coming our way, and trying to balance my time as well through a corporate position with Marriott. It was rough. I was always the one that is like pressing the minute, not on time, and it was hard, and it was, again, stressful. All those factors that I was like, gosh, I can't be doing this. I can't be late to the company. When I get there, I have to be in the right mindset to sell. And it just wasn't happening. And at the same time, on the general side, as you're starting to, unroll other things within the brokerage, I just felt like I was missing out on so much. And again, I was hungry. I was totally hungry for all of that. And when Kaleo and I had gotten married in 2019, that's when I said, you know what, this is it. Everything's going to all align and unfold all at the right time, and I'll be in the right place at the right time with the right people.
Mhm.
So that was it. It's just your encouragement, and just said, you know what, you got to do this full time. I kept missing Zillow calls and more clients. And then also family kept also reaching out saying, hey, I want to buy, I want to buy. And I couldn't service them, while having a full time job. So just kind of everything all aligned at the right time for us.
Okay, so now we fast forward. Now you jump in full time. What does that first year look like in terms of production and sales?
So I am so grateful. And again, I always say that I wish I did this decades ago. Just like buying real estate, right? The best time to buy it was always yesterday. And so, yeah, so the first year when I finally pulled the trigger, to do it full time, I was able to pull a six-figure income. And that was just scratching the surface. That wasn't me even pushing
You
hard to
you're a
find
rookie. You're
business.
still a rookie.
Right? I was like, oh my gosh, why did I not do this earlier? But it was just, family and friends just trusted, to reach out and say, hey, I need this and that. And I just got so busy. Again, grateful, just got super busy where I didn't have to really go out and search for business because it was right there. It was right there just within our own circle. But it only made me hungry to grow more. That, what, you can only imagine if you did put forward more in marketing, and just getting yourself out there, how much more amazing it would be. So that was just the first year of it. And again, I couldn't have done it without you folks. There's no way.
Well, you're one of those folks, and it's important when you're thinking about getting into real estate, where's your business going to come from, right? A lot of people get in without a plan, and you're fortunate that you have a lot of friends and family. You're very well known in the community, and you're somebody that people trust, right? So that was definitely an advantage. But again, like you said, if the opportunities are there, but you don't walk through the doors, there's no point in the doors opening, right? So you got to be there and available and willing, right, to take the step and take advantage of those opportunities. So
Right. And lots of sacrificing. Your family has to be there to support, physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, every aspect you could possibly imagine, because it is costly. Aside from bringing in all that business, it totally costs. But again, the benefits are so rewarding if you do the work.
absolutely. So you keep talking about the support system and the team and stuff like that. Like let's dive into that a little bit. Like what specifically are you talking about that you think makes a difference, or that has helped you be successful and has contributed to just the awesome success that you've had over the last couple of years? Because not only that was your run one, we're kind of in year 2.5 now right now, and it's been even
Right.
better, right? So
Right. It's still the beginning, and I always say the best is yet to come. So first and foremost, yes, support system is so important, and it starts with home. You know, um, as busy as we can always be, and as chaos as we say it is, your support system has to come from home, because if you're not solid there, it's hard for you to produce outside. So yes, support system from my husband, from my parents, my siblings, my kids, and extended family members. That's really the core of it. And if that's not solid, it really is hard to do business outside. um,
they
at the
gotta
same
they gotta be they gotta be willing and okay with you taking phone calls in the evening or showing property on a Sunday, right? Like, because it's like you have that really great amount of flexibility, but you also have to be available
all
when
the
you
time.
need to be available, right? It's a give and a take.
Exactly. It's not oh, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's like you're literally available 24 hours a day. And that's what we also say, is you call us anytime, So yeah, we could totally be out, doing something with the family, and then the call comes in the heat of the moment. And they are, my kids have taken a lot having me answer calls at crazy times. I mean, it could just be complete chaos behind us. But yeah, they're very patient, very supportive, but we also reward them with it. So, they feel valued, that, okay, you know what, if I can give mom this, then they get rewarded for it. Um, and again, everything comes full circle, and that's just at home. But extending out to our support team, with our brokerage, with EXP, I am so grateful for that. Like, I can't even explain. There are no words that, if we didn't have what we have within our brokerage, there's no way I'd be able to even consider moving forward with real estate.
And so what are some of those things? I mean, that's because that's something that, somebody who's looking at it from the outside all brokerages may look the same, right? In terms of, just a different logo or a different color scheme, and everybody says they have technology and all this kind of stuff. But I always say a very important thing that's different is the culture, right? Aside from all of that other stuff, like what is the foundation and the culture behind it, and that's a super important part of it. But for you, like, what do you feel like, are the things that are most beneficial or that have contributed the most to helping you in the journey?
Beautiful. So for me personally, again, starting from the top, which would be our broker, which is you, you made it very clear, that the foundation that we have, is just, it's so true. It's genuine, it's family. Like, what are our reasons? Who are our whys? What's the reason why we do business? So that in itself, just, I joined the brokerage when I didn't even know you yet. I had only known Andrew, and immediately you feel that connection, and it does start from the top. So just with you and Andrew, just sharing that foundation of aloha and family, um, and genuinely being able to help and train, not just saying, oh, I have, my brokerage is amazing, we have all these tools, we're going to help you and train you. Like, I genuinely needed to feel that someone is going to be helping me throughout the way, and not just, oh, here you go, and then you're on your own. It's like the tools that you folks have provided me, it was amazing. I can't even speak any more into that. Is, yeah, there's no way we'd be able to continue to pursue this career without the tools that you folks have provided for us.
Awesome. And that's a big thing that I think we focus on. And now Misty pays forward to other agents, is that you have to have that care and attention in the beginning when you really don't know what's going on. And if there's not somebody, I see a big thing that holds a lot of people back is that they're afraid to ask because they don't know if they're bothering somebody or they're going to be treated like they're a pest or whatever. And that culturally is a super important thing for us, where we got to be available. There are no stupid questions. You ask whatever you got to ask, but then that gets ingrained and passed on to the next generation of people, right? That now
Right.
there's this culture of you can ask anybody for help, and they're going to treat you in, like they're going to give you help. They're going to explain the situation to you. They're going to give you examples, and because they understand that they were there at one time, right?
Right. No, exactly. And I always laugh because reflecting back, to when we first started, is like, it wasn't even about the paycheck at that time. Like, thinking initially, oh yeah, we're going to get real estate because, yeah, you can help people and make money. But when I got into this, like, I wasn't even looking at the numbers, and I always had to be reminded by you folks. Like, you would say, hey, did you check your back office? And I'm like, no, why? It's like, you should check it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So the financial blessing, it just really came as an additional blessing. Like, I wasn't even looking into the finances at this point because my heart was just so into helping families and people, to be able to get a home when they felt so discouraged, during this crazy times, especially. And yeah, I will always reflect back to you and Andrew, always reminding me, like, hey, you better go check. You're going to be very surprised. And that was just always the blessing, the icing on top of the cake, was seeing that.
And that's one of the things that I think contributes the greatest to your success, is your mindset is not about the money, right? And that's one thing that's a failure of people when they focus on the greed and, like, I got to keep every penny and this is totally about the sale. You're not focused on what's best for your client or what's best for that situation, or how best to serve. Because sometimes the best way to serve somebody is to tell them this is a bad idea and not go through with a sale, right? Or this is not the right house for you and not write the offer. And that's something, that level of trust, that over time I think makes you very successful in this business. But in the short run, in the beginning, when it's like you really need the paycheck, it's right. That's a hard balance to strike. So
No, totally. And it was, during that time, we're trying to get married, we wanted to buy a house. And yes, there has been some struggle times where it's like, oh my gosh, what do we do? But now, just having a different mindset, and of course, just being in the right place at the right time, all those blessings just come when it's supposed to.
So what kind of advice would you give, maybe a new agent or an agent that, is struggling, that is looking to move or looking for other opportunities? What kind of advice would you give them?
Don't wait. Don't wait like me. I tell all of my kids' friends as well, because I do get a lot of inquiries, and I tell them, don't wait till you're in your 40s like me. Start when you're young. That's the best advice that I could give them. And then just continue to encourage them, don't give up. if I can do it, because I've always spun so many plates at the same time, that's just how my life has been. So I always tell them, if I can do it, you definitely can do it. And I'm here to help them all along the way, just as you folks have helped me as well.
And this is an important thing that's got to be stated, right? Is the abundance mindset, right? A lot of people in this business have a scarcity mindset that there's only so many houses to sell and there's only so many, clients to get. And when you have that mindset, you don't encourage other people, right? You don't get, because they're competition, right? You don't want to bring other people in. You definitely don't want to support them and help them be successful, because then they become a threat to your business and they become your competition. But that's something that, that we are very much, that we don't buy into, right? We're all about the abundance mindset. If Misty gets a listing, we celebrate that. If she makes a sale, we celebrate that. It's not because we lost one. It's because there's enough to go around, and there's plenty more to go around, and plenty more that we can all do. And yeah, so that's why, one of the reasons she wanted to do this video is to talk to people and encourage them, if this is something you're thinking about doing, not to wait and to make the leap, right? And we have a system to support you, and the right, again, back to culture, right? The right culture, the right mindset, that I think is an environment where people can thrive in, if they have the right work ethic, and the right mindset, right? You cannot think easy money, because it's not easy money. It's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of hardship. It's dealing with difficult situations. We are primarily problem solvers, right? And strategists on how to get a deal done and overcome problems along the way. But at the end of the day, it's very satisfying, right?
Right. If it was easy, everybody else would be doing it. That's what I always tell them as well. And yes, most definitely the culture, within our brokerage, because I do get asked that question a lot, is, gosh, there's so many real estate agents on the Big Island now. And of course I'm like, well, we live on a big island. There's also a lot of land and property that, goes around for all of us. So it's never too much.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the reason for that is that a lot of the traditional real estate model is you recruit as many people as you possibly can, because 8 out of 10 will fail in the first 2 years, and then you just keep the 2 that make it, and it's a meat grinder, and with our mindset, we think everybody can succeed, right? If you put enough time, energy, and dedication into it, we have no interest. And that's the amazing thing about this team, and the people, Misty has brought people on, lots of people have brought different people on, and for the most part, the vast majority, 90+%, are still here 3 years later, right? People don't wash out, right? Because they have a support system. They feel like they have people that they can go to, that they have places where they can learn strategies that they can build on, all of that stuff. And so that's something that, I'm very proud of, and Misty helps perpetuate, is that, we don't have that washout, that 8 out of 10 people that join, we'll just fade away in the next couple of years because they're not going to make it. So
right. And everything is like so much better, from when we first started a few years ago. And
we have so many more tools. Yes, we have so many more.
I'm like, wow, we didn't have that before, having to be the second one on the team right after I had joined. And it's just phenomenal with what you folks have built out for us. And it does make it easier, for the next to come. And it's only going to get better and better. The more we keep grinding together, that's just how we work as a team. And that's what sets us apart. And that's what keeps me here. It's like I would never consider, even shopping or going elsewhere, because we have no reason to. We have a great team, and culturally speaking, just like you said, with the foundation that we have, it's amazing.
All right, so if somebody's interested in talking more with you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can reach me at any time. My number is 808-854-4469. And then also my website is mistyrealestate.com. And we're on pretty much every media platform with the agency Hawaii, Team Hawaii, I should say.
Right on. Any closing thoughts?
Oh, thank you. Again, just continue to be grateful. I'm just always grateful, thankful, and blessed. So thank you, folks, for all that you are and all that you continue to do for us.
Well, you're a blessing to us. We love having you, and can't wait to see the big things that are going to come.
So excited. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Misty.
Thank you too. Have a good day.
Right on.